How are you?
Hi, Vanessa.
Hello.
Let me introduce you to the audience. Guys, I had to go live early because she has a time schedule and I didn't want to impede on that. So we are going early. I also wanted to say a couple things up front. First of all, Vanessa, thank you so much for doing this interview.
No problem. Thank you.
I want to do this interview with the intention of helping people recognize what a narcissist abuser is. So we're going to talk about that. And also, I just read your article from the Sun and was just fascinated and just wanted to talk to you. So I do appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
I want to mention this because of legal reasons. Your attorney has advised you not to get too deep into certain things. If I cross over into that territory, please remind me.
Yeah, I'll try to be mindful, and not go there.
Okay. Have you watched the Real Housewives of New Jersey before this season?
Yes, many years, a lot of different franchises. I have been a Bravo fan for many years.
Were you so you're familiar with Teresa?
Yes.
This season was, oh my God, explosive. Have you been watching?
Yes, my girlfriends and I watch every Tuesday together on a Zoom meeting, and we have all kinds of opinions watching it. It's fiery for sure.
It's explosive and it's a lot going on. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions about the show. I'm so glad you did this. Did you see the episode? You probably did, when Louis was on the tape in the wilderness somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he said that on the, are you familiar with that tape before the show?
Yes.
What was going on? Do you know what was going on?
That is a program called Warrior that I don't know if women go to it. Specifically, this retreat was for men. And I guess they try to help men become better business people or better husbands, something like this.
It doesn't have anything to do with sex?
No, I don't think has anything to do with sex.
The women, go ahead.
No,
So the women, the storyline this season is the women are trying to warn Teresa about Louis, and he's got some kind of bad qualities going on, things that are concerning. Can you talk about that?
I can say that it appears that people are trying to warn Teresa. That's what I'm seeing also. I don't know that she's able to see around the corner on some of the behaviors. I'm not sure if that, is from her own childhood or her own, I similarly had some painful experiences in my childhood that led me into the arms of a narcissist as well. And so I don't victim blame, but sometimes we can't see around corners and we need people to express to us maybe things that we're missing. And that's what I'm seeing on the show.
And that kind of would lead back to you because you're a licensed therapist, right?
Yes.
How would you say you got, I wouldn't say lured, involved with Louis then?
I did not ever understand this diagnosis. So it was only after an experience I had that I sort of figured it out, even just by watching things on TikTok, quite honestly. And then I became trauma certified and connected with all the heavy hitters in this realm, including Dr. Ramani and others. After I did my run across New York State in a wedding dress, I began to get some notoriety and even some credibility, and people were reaching out to me. And that's kind of how I got connected. And then I began to work with Sandra Brown, and she has credentialing now for narcissistic abuse. And she references this disorder as, or this relationship as one of inevitable harm, because we don't have much data that suggests that they change, which is very counterintuitive for a social worker like myself, because it's like, oh, we can fix you. That's kind of what we go to school for. But these pathological disorders, there's really no data that we can find that people change. Very few outliers. So it can happen, but the number is so small that it really doesn't lend to any data. So I learned about it on TikTok.
Yeah. So you got yourself in this situation where you're dealing with a narcissist abuser. Is there a pattern to their behavior?
Yeah, so you have the love bombing, you have the triangulating, manipulating, gaslighting, lying, cheating, controlling, isolating. They're sort of standard characteristics of the narcissist now that I understand, that I didn't realize I was going through it. And in the end, I really ended up kind of alone, no friends, no family, sort of playing Candy Crush and wondering like what I had become, because I was never that person. I was always very athletic and social, and I just kind of lost myself.
What's love bombing?
So love bombing is like the long text messages. Somebody might give you a scroll. Somebody might, take you on a lot of trips and buy you a lot of diamonds, and you are my soulmate, and you're the most amazing lover, and blah, 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 really fast and furious, like just sweep you off your feet.
From what you can, if you can answer this, does it look like Teresa's in the love bombing stage?
I have to be careful. I'm going to say I'm not sure, but I think a lot of people on the internet are saying that.
How long did love bombing last for you?
I would say it's a cycle. Okay. So the cycle of abuse includes the love bombing stage, then there's this tension building stage, then there's kind of like a fallout or like a devaluing, like argument stage. And then probably like kind of a breakup, and then the love bombing begins again, right? So it kind of goes, love bombing sort of resurfaces. So we go in this cycle of abuse. So love bombing in the first place is really intense, but then, it comes back again.
At your lowest point, did you have any support system?
At first, I lost a lot of friends because they believed him, or they were interested in like money or connections or promises themselves. Or I pushed them away. Actually, there were people that I pushed away because I was like, well, if you're not going to support my relationship, which, happens. And so I had to really have almost a rebirth in some ways. And a lot of my friends now I know are my tried and true because they stayed with me. So a lot of them are from elementary school, but I did lose a lot of friends in this process. It was very, very eye-opening.
How long would you say you were caught up in the cycle?
I was in that relationship for 1 year and 8 months only. So it wasn't like I have clients that are in these relationships for upwards of 30 years. Probably more so because they're with a more benign narcissist, somebody who's not quite as malignant or obvious in some ways. So it's almost a blessing when you can kind of see them coming, because sometimes they're really, really, really covert, and you can spend an awful lot of time wasting almost your entire life with somebody who doesn't care about you.
Did you have anybody warning you?
No, I didn't. I reached out to an ex-fiance and began to collaborate, and an ex-wife, and began to collaborate. And that is when we sort of all connected the dots together. It's really insidious. It's hard to detect when you're kind of mind controlled in some ways. So like you feel like you're like the rug has been ripped out. Somebody who you trust and believe is, actually out to hurt you. And that was a really, really hard thing to realize. It's particularly difficult for the children of narcissists to realize that their parents don't love them and stuff like that. So it's very layered, but yeah, those people were the ones who were guiding me. The former supplies, the ex-fiance, the ex-wife were guiding me.
Tell me if you can answer this show. On the if you can answer this question. On the show, there's Teresa moves out and she moves in with Louis. What were your thoughts when you saw that scene?
I cried.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Why?
I just don't, well, like her or not, she is an icon, and like
Right.
it or not, the house was iconic. And, they show the children and their father and the Christmases and the parties and mother returning. And so we kind of feel connected to this cast of characters. And so I thought it was really unfortunate that that was happening. It was actually hard to watch.
Wow. Touching. The women are trying to warn her. Do you think someone can just sit her down? Maybe like Melissa, someone's close to her and say, listen to these warning signs?
No. And it's not because Teresa's Teresa, it's just the information she's being fed is probably guiding her, and that's probably a lot of misinformation. So she's, you know, probably not going to hear much else right now.
Are you saying that there's nothing the women can do?
I don't see anything that they can do right now. I think they're trying and done all that they can, but I don't think that she's going to be receiving of it.
So let's take Teresa out the picture. If you're an outsider watching this go on, you just have to let it run its course?
It sometimes, like, even if you're dealing with a cult and you try to extricate somebody from a cult, the more you highlight it and the more you tell them, get away from the cult, get away from the more they sort of lean into the cult. So again, like, that is something that is very dynamic. I do some work with India Oxenberg from the Nexium cult, and her mother famously was trying to get her away from the cult leader, Keith Raniere, and she just dug her heels in more and stayed longer. So it's really, really tricky to extricate somebody from this level of mind control. So I don't know. I don't know what will work specifically for her, because I don't know her personally, how she would handle any intervention or anything like that. It doesn't look as if she would be welcoming of it.
What would you say that being in this type of relationship did to you?
Well, I had trauma from childhood already. So I was diagnosed with PTSD at the age of 25 for other issues. But this was a compounded trauma. This definitely was traumatizing. It took me a few years to recover, and it was only a few years ago. But it also kind of, because of COVID, it forced me to do the work and sort of sit in the muck of like my issues and kind of build mastery around being okay, being alone, and like loving myself, and kind of learning a different side of me. So while it was really painful, I think it was necessary for my growth.
This is a tricky question I'm going to ask you. So if you can't answer it, let me know.
Okay.
Do you think being this type of situation could affect Teresa financially?
I will say that the narcissists generally, or sociopaths, or either or both, can get into scenarios where there are illegal activities. So it's hard to say how it would affect her. I don't know what her level of involvement with anybody financially is. I can't speak to her financial dealings, but especially since she had gone through what she did, I think she would have to be careful in any relationship that she starts, just to secure her finances so that she doesn't have to experience what she did like last time.
Is there a chance that a narcissist can change their behavior and become normal?
Not that I mean, there are, like I said, like residual, we measure the narcissist change in millimeters versus miles. And there are very few that are insightful enough to want to change and understand that what they're doing is harmful or care, because one of the baseline issues for them, or one of the ground zero issues for them, is that they don't have empathy. So they're not interested in your feelings or other people. Generally, they're self-serving.
That's deep. That's interesting. So you get yourself into this situation and it was emotionally draining. How did you get out? And then what do you recommend to other people? How do you get out?
I fled. I knew that if I didn't get out of there fast, that I would just be love bombed again. So my girlfriend came over and we just packed up my car and left. It was actually both of our cars. So her car and my car. And actually he bleached my clothing as I was leaving, bags of clothing in the driveway.
You bleached your clothing?
He did.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in the driveway. That was documented in one of the articles because it was in a lawsuit. So I'm not afraid to, and he admitted it in court actually. So I'm not afraid really of that one. But yeah, so we fled. We basically just ran out of there. And like I said, it was one of those things where I knew if I didn't, it was like, I have to go now, because I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what he was and what was really wrong yet. I just knew something was wrong and I was like, I have to get out of here. So I did. I just decided I have to go now before I get roped back in.
Just like that, you were like,
yeah,
I'm
I have
done.
to go now. Yep.
Without a plan?
No, without any plan. Without any plan. It was just
brave. That's brave. It sounds like you just woke up one day and had enough.
That's right.
Yeah. Louis scares me. He comes on the show. He comes across as Mr. Perfect, and nobody's perfect like that. How can I word this? Are there warnings? So let's say none of the women can get through to Teresa. Is she overlooking some red flags on the show? Because if you don't know, like just on the show, are there red flags that everybody needs to look at?
My sense is that her fundamental value set is somehow structured around patriarchy. Like she doesn't seem to have that, like, even though she purports to be a girl's girl, I don't think she trusts women. Like there's some kind of a vibe that she's, even when Tiki was doing something and she said, what's Tiki's wife's name again? I can't remember. Tracy. She was mad at Tracy, but not at Tiki. She's kind of giving you piece of information there, which is basically like, I am not a girl's girl. I'm not like, so I think that is something that is going to be a barrier for her in relationships, because it seems as if she hasn't sort of gotten that connection to women. So even if they're out to help her,
so good.
She's
so good.
She's not going to see it because that barrier she's having, wherever it stems from, like I could assess from childhood a million times over, but it seems to have some daddy component to it that, again, I don't know her. I'm noticing this like non-girl's girl vibe.
I'm going to ask you a question that you might not be able to answer, but I have to do it anyway. So just say I can't answer. There is a rumor going around that Louis, what's the word? Like he's really intentionally, I want to say have a plan. He really wanted to go after Teresa intentionally. How would I word that? You know what I mean? Like he made it a plan. She's famous. She's rich. I want her. Have you heard that rumor?
I have heard that rumor. I happen to know that he was dating somebody at the time. Her name is also
That's true.
Vanessa.
What's her name?
Vanessa.
Okay. Wow.
And I believe she's now dating David.
Oh wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard that. I heard that too. Yeah.
But so, the fact that he would have, I mean, I really don't know if he was targeting
Targeting, that's the word.
for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm not totally, I don't really know what the story was there. I just don't.
I'm really worried. He has children, right?
Yes.
She has children.
Yes.
If you're a child, oh, there's nothing you can do. You're just
Yeah, I think we always love our parents. So in some ways they're infallible in our eyes. And we only know that environment. So there's very little to gauge against. I mean, it's, I'm sure Teresa's children, having grown up with the cameras around, have an entirely different perspective than you or I might if we didn't have that childhood. So I honor that. And yet, yeah, I could see them being primed for a variety of different issues, maybe even as it relates to their body image. They may have struggles ultimately with how their appearance is because they're, kind of gauging against the lights and the makeup. And I mean, there's a variety of different things that could come from that.
yeah.
But I don't know what their relationship is like with their mother. I know a little bit more on the other side, but I can't really go into too much of that.
Okay. What is the what do you like about the show this season?
Um, it's been kind of triggering to watch
Has
for
it?
all of us. Thank God we have each other because it's not just myself, it's the other victims, but also my girlfriends are kind of just watching somebody, that they're not really fond of, let's say. And it's hard to witness some of the behaviors. So it has been interesting. I sometimes feel like I'm living in like a telenovela. Like it's like every day is a new Netflix series. Like what the hell is going? And it's you feel connected to it. So it's very surreal. It's been a strange experience for sure.
Do you relive it?
Um, I sometimes have like reels I'll go through and I'll remember because some of the same behaviors are happening. So I'm just like, I do kind of, and I'll connect something. Oh my God, I remember this or I remember that. And then thank God, like I said, I have others that have experienced it to sort of validate um, and hold space for that because it is interesting to watch something like this play out on television. It just is weird. And, people should really honor the women on this side and that
Mhm.
experience because unless you walk in those shoes, you just don't know what it's like.
Right. At one point, when you did your Sun article, did you ever feel judged by the public?
I think, sometimes the tree huggers can be a little fanatical
Tree
and they,
huggers?
the Teresa fans, yeah, they get a little heavy with it, but really I would say to them that I don't have anything against her. It's nothing against her at all. As a matter of fact, behind the scenes, I'm probably one of the biggest supporters of her, sort of rooting for it. She would never know that because she's being probably fed other things, but my goal is never to harm her.
Yeah, I totally agree. What made you come out in the first place? You could have just kept this secret.
It really was about the work that I do. I really want to shine a light on this insidious form of domestic violence. And again, this isn't my story. It's the millions of victims that stand behind me that I sort of work for. I'm kind of like, guys, leave me alone. And they're like, go, Vanessa, go. And I'm like, all right, all right, all right. So I have to do this work because, I've cried to my son about this because he's like, Mom, why don't you stop? I'm like, I can't. I have to do this work for the silent victims because they may have children with an abuser and they can't have their voice heard because they'll be in court. And so I have to, I feel so compelled to speak out for the silent victims.
I'm getting goosebumps because you're saying something within you is so strong that you want to speak about it.
Yeah, I
That
wanted to change.
you want to make a change. Oh, that's so great. You keep saying we. Who is we?
So myself and the other victims, if I'm referencing we, it's usually us, and all of my clients, like I said,
I got you.
I'm licensed in 4 states. I have 4 clinicians that work under me, and we have a thriving practice that specifically works with victims of domestic violence. Um, and they will tell you that to be physically assaulted is nothing compared to the mental abuse. So we really need to pay attention to that mind control, that manipulation, and the trauma that comes from that experience, and less of a focus on, did he hit you? That's really not relevant anymore. We now know that the data tells us that emotional abuse is more damaging.
Okay, so I did this video because I wanted to reach out to people that are going through this. What are some of the signs that you look for if you're in a narcissistic, abusive relationship?
I love that question. So, gaslighting is one of those things that's rather insidious. So, this isn't just somebody saying to you, I never said that. Gaslighting can be something like this. If you ask a yes or no question and someone takes you down a different road with their communication. So, any circular conversations where you find yourself like, that's not what I fucking asked you, that's gaslighting. So, you have to pay attention to inconsistent statements. And when somebody, like I said, takes you down a different road and you're like, why am I over here now? I asked you this question, or we were talking about this, because it's to sort of deflect and omit information and potentially lie.
Mhm.
So gaslighting is that insidious thing where it's like a slippery slope. You have to catch it. So anytime someone does that, I would call them out. Don't make excuses for it. Don't, oh, that's just him or that's just her. You can just kind of say, like, that's not what I asked you, and have them, be really, really forward about having them, having redirected them to what you're actually asking them, because gaslighting is insidious. It's not necessarily this overt, I didn't say that, or, lying. It can be also this circular conversation.
I can't let you leave without asking this question. What are your thoughts on Margaret and Melissa?
Margaret and Melissa?
Hmm.
Um, I think Margaret has been around and dealt with sexual harassment, etc. So I think she has a head for domestic violence. And so I'm a fan of her trying to shine a light on it. And I think it's because she's walked that walk in her life. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard her say that she's, gone through some things there. So I'm always like, let's go. Like anytime domestic violence gets mentioned, I'm here for it. So that's something that's important to me. I'm passionate about that. Melissa, I think, seems to be tiring of the diplomatic way she's had to engage with her family. So I think she seems to be turning the corner, hopefully, and, standing up for herself, because she's sort of had to, deal with Teresa and deal with Joe and kind of, be diplomatic. They have children, so there's cousins and things that she does the right thing by being mindful and careful. But I suppose there's only so far you could push someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad that you took the time out of your day to talk to me.
Of course.
I think you are smart and brave for coming out, especially in the beginning where people were like, no way, that can't be true. And just speaking your truth and then thinking about other victims. I have to respect you for that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're a smart woman. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. And I hope I got you out of here on time. This is a good time.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Take care. Okay, guys, that interview was amazing. I'm so glad that she came because it's so easy for when the public, we don't know all what goes on behind the scenes to judge. When that Sun article first came out, people were like, "Oh, she's a clout chaser." No, she's not. She's a woman that faced a traumatic experience that we need to listen to. No one's too better than, smarter than to get themselves caught up with a narcissist abuser. It's an easy thing to do. I hope you guys were listening to some of the things that she was saying on how to get yourself out of the situation, the signs to look for. Uh, it's Teresa's not the only one dealing with this. And as far as Teresa's concerned, I agree with her. She's probably going to have to learn this lesson the hard way. Louis is bad news. That's the only way I can say it. Thank you guys. He's bad news. I'll take some of your comments and then we will go on. Yeah, everyone's agreeing. Teresa, listen to the signs. Listen to the signs. Thank you, Amanda. That was a great interview. It was great. Anyone that comes on here and speaks their truth, you got to respect. All right, guys, I'm going to end it today. I will be back probably in 2 days with another Real Housewives of New Jersey story. Woo, Teresa's in trouble. She's cut off all her friends, including Dolores. No one's going to be at the wedding. It's just a lot. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I will be back today at my scheduled time for more hot topics. You guys got to let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to click that like button on the way out. All right, guys, until next time, bye for now.